Hey, what's up and welcome back to Fiverr Talks. Today we're talking about this new thing called Fiverr Business. What is it? What does it mean for sellers? And what can you do to be a part of it? Well, welcome back to Fiverr Talks. As always, my name is Joel Young, user DJ Young on Fiverr. I've been there since 2013 as a top-rated seller and one of Fiverr's all-time top earners. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I share my tips and tricks with you to become the best Fiverr seller you can possibly be. So if you're new to the channel and that sounds interesting to you, then consider subscribing. All right, on to today's topic, Fiverr Business. What is this thing? You might have seen this pop up in your feed. Maybe you got an email about it, or maybe you've even started seeing some of your gigs with the little label Fiverr Business and wondered, what is this? What does it mean? How did I get on this list? And what does this mean for the future of Fiverr? Today we're going to talk about all of those things, but let's start with Fiverr's definition of what Fiverr Business is. They say that Fiverr Business is a freelance platform tailor-made for larger teams and businesses. It provides a higher touch and more curated experience, along with collaboration and management tools for businesses to work with freelancer talent more efficiently. In short, this is something specifically pointed toward businesses and teams within businesses so that multiple people can communicate with a freelancer in their dashboard. They can share payment methods. This happens all the time. Somebody says, hey, I'm interested in you doing work for me. Okay, my boss has to make the purchase, or somebody in accounts payable has to make the purchase. And there's always this awkward conversation we as sellers have to have where we say, everything's got to go through the account that you place the order through. So if your boss places the order, I can't sit here and converse with you. He's got to respond on the gig page. And if you're like me, you've probably had the experience where someone who wasn't in charge of the project placed the order, never responded or did anything on the gig page. People were upset and left wondering, even though you explained it to them. And hopefully Fiverr Business will solve some of these issues for people that are working as businesses or teams with sellers on Fiverr, freelancers on the platform. Now, what the Fiverr Business page is saying is that right now this is free just for the first year. Sounds like a promotion, but after that it will be something that businesses actually pay for. This is kind of like a concierge or upper level service. It's going to cost them about $150 a year for them to utilize this, but what they get for that is Fiverr's hand-picked gigs and providers that have been chosen to be a part of the category. That's right, Fiverr is hand-plucking gigs and sellers, people that do a great job that they think really target business consumers and placing them on the platform so they don't weed through a lot of search results. They go right to some of the best that Fiverr has to offer and some that Fiverr has handpicked for them. And this is what they're paying for. The privilege they're paying for is a different kind of dashboard for teams and then access to this hand-curated list that Fiverr is putting together. In other words, they're looking for sellers that cater to the business audience, have a level of professionalism and quality of work, and not only that, services that best fit what business consumers are looking for, and putting them all in one place. Then they're charging business consumers for access to this list. It's a pretty neat idea in my opinion, and I've seen a couple of my gigs on the Fiverr Business list. I've gotten an order with a little teeny tab that says Fiverr Business. And when you do that, when you see that, you'll actually notice there's some extra features within the gig page itself. A couple that I just noticed offhand and then later realized they were a part of Fiverr Business. One of them is the new call feature, the video call feature. You'll see there's a little button for a video call right next to the message box. And this is really, it's not a big deal. It's not what you think it is. It's not integrated where someone can click that and it calls you. It simply just drafts a message that says, hey, I'd like to video chat with you about this. And it creates a Zoom link and pastes in there. It's nothing that you and I couldn't do with a regular customer right now. In fact, I do that with a lot of my regular non-Fiverr Business customers. We have little Zoom calls to kick off a project. We call them consultation calls. Normally they last 15 minutes, but Fiverr's integrated a little button to help Fiverr Business people know if they want to schedule something with the seller, then they can, and it allows them a little more access, a little more white glove service, a little higher level of service for their investment in being a Fiverr Business client. So those are the high points that I've found on Fiverr's website that I've educated myself on as a part of the Fiverr Business program, I guess, with some of my gigs. It's not something I was notified about. You might be asking yourself, do you get an email saying, hey, you're now in Fiverr Business? Nope. It's not something that Fiverr's telling you about. It's just something they're placing people within. And so if you see an order come through with that badge, then you know you're in the program for that specific gig anyway. The ultimate question that I care about, and I'm sure you would care about, is what does this do for us as sellers? Or maybe turn that around and say, what should we as sellers do about this? Well, I think there's a couple things we can do and a couple things that will help us to possibly be a part of this in the future if your gigs and your profile are a good fit for it. The first thing is I would encourage you to find ways to establish yourself as a top tier freelancer. Now, of course, this is kind of obvious because this is what every single one of us are already trying to do on Fiverr. We're trying to put ourselves all the way up at the top of those search results, be the best sellers we can possibly be. This is not really anything new, but with a different focus, I think that this could help you become part of the Fiverr Business category. What does it mean to be a top tier freelancer? What does that phrasing mean? What's Fiverr looking for? Well, I would break it down into a couple different categories. I would break it down into quality of work, communication, and professional presentation. Those would be my three ways that you could become a top tier seller. I think things like that will help to set you up for this business category in a way that maybe you wouldn't normally set yourself up in the regular Fiverr ecosystem, and can certainly help you get on this list if you're not already, or stay on it if you are, because I think it's going to be a real advantage to any seller that happens to be put on the Fiverr Business list. Secondly, if you're like me and you believe this is really going to be a valuable category in the future, if a lot more people jump into it and start using it, you can ask yourself, how do I start to tilt my gigs, my services, my talents to a business audience? Maybe it means creating a gig specifically for businesses. Maybe if you're an Excel whiz, you can create a I'll balance your business budget gig. And that is extremely well targeted to a business audience. Think about how you can target your, not just your services, but specific gigs toward a business audience. And that might, along with these other factors, help get you on the business category list a little bit more easily. And finally, this is not something that can be understated. It's not something that should be overlooked. A lot of sellers focus too much on their product and not enough on the professional level of communication that they're providing their customers with. Customer service. This plays huge in the way that Fiverr sees you. They're reading messages. They're watching the way you interact with buyers. What level of professionalism do you have? Are there a lot of typos in your responses? Are you short with buyers? Are you, rough and rude and gruff sometimes? How does it come across? Or are you always the picture of professionalism? This is a simple thing that almost every single one of you can do to improve yourself as a seller, is become more professional in your communication and in your customer service skills. This goes from everything from the kind of message you write to the timeliness with which you respond. All of these things Fiverr is watching and looking for, because it will benefit you not only as a Fiverr seller, but possibly as a Fiverr Business top tier provider. So those are my thoughts on Fiverr Business. I hope it was helpful to you. And if you're new to the channel, then consider subscribing by clicking this button up here. If you're looking for the next video to watch, maybe choose this one because I think it's a great video. Until next time, keep doing, because the future favors the doers.